Now, there is no doubt about it that both Hollywood and the media, they are dealing with a lot of pushback from the general public for obvious reasons, for getting way too political and forcing political talking points onto the general public, to the point that people just really want nothing to do with the media. They want nothing to do with all these Hollywood executives that have really encouraged a lot of the actors and actresses in the past to act the way that they are acting even to this day, and how a lot of producers, executives, and of course top higher-ups over at many different studios out there are now beginning to regret that. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, focusing on the hosts of The View, Sunny Hostin, Joy Behar, and Whoopi Goldberg of ABC and the Walt Disney Company, who actually serve as nothing more than political talking heads by Bob Iger, we all know that they've been dealing with a lot of issues as of late from the general public and even from their own fans that are now beginning to tune out. Hence why the ratings disaster worsening, especially throughout November of 2025. This month has been a disaster for ABC, and they're really trying to actually stabilize it in different ways. What's interesting, though, about all of this has a lot more to do with what Joy Behar and Sunny Hostin recently did behind the scenes of The View, and of course in the public eye in different ways. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Now, one thing about Joy and Sunny is that we all know that they get very defensive whenever they actually are confronted, whether it's by, of course, the general public calling them out, or whether, of course, it's from ABC executives telling them to tone it down a little bit because of how far they really go. But this is where it really begins to actually hit rock bottom. Let's discuss. Now, with both Hollywood and the media, of course, still to this day, dealing with tons of backlash from the public, and rightfully so, for going overboard with their politics and forcing their anti-Trump agenda, one significant development that is now active involves the, of course, host of The View, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and even in elements for Whoopi Goldberg, once again lashing out at the public after their worsening ratings disaster for the program at ABC. However, recently, Joy, Whoopi, and Sunny, most of all, recently got caught, of course, stealing in the most unexpected way possible as ABC and the Walt Disney Company prepares to revamp the set of The View. Now, it turns out that during the aftermath of The View's ratings disaster last week and this week now, both Disney and ABC are busy with setting up new props in the background to gain interest of in-audience members and for those tuning in on television. It turns out that many new props were being tested for the set of The View, which are planned to be applied by early 2026. Shockingly, Sunny Hostin was caught on set by ABC producers and executives, where she was bringing home a series of wine bottles that had The View's logo on each bottle in her purse as she was being escorted out of the studio. It turns out that these wine glasses were fully intended to be used for the new set of The View for early 2026 by both ABC and Disney through test footage, where Sunny Hostin claimed that she was given full approval by the correspondents, of course, by the coordinators, to take some of the test props home for her own enjoyment. Now, this was immediately called out by the ABC producers on set, that, of course, however, told her that that was actually false. The same exact thing happened for Joy Behar, where she reportedly had stashed one prop, of course, piece from the new set of The View that was best described as a golden rose prop piece that was around 2 feet tall and holds a value of thousands of dollars. This prop piece also has the logo of The View embedded on the front and back of the prop that was fully intended to be actually used for test footage at the end of this week. Now, Behar claimed that the same thing that Sunny Hostin did, that she was given full approval by some of the coordinators that they could bring home some of the props home as a trophy, of course, or something around those lines. This ended up being false, as told to her by another ABC producer. Now, guys, let me say one thing about this real quick. Now, we talked about this, a couple months ago, that Bob Iger was looking to revamp the set of The View in 2026 to kind of give it a new look. But now, it looks like they're fast-tracking that, especially during the ratings disaster. And I don't think it's going to change anything. I don't think it's going to create any level of new interest. I don't think it's going to really create new fans or new audience members at that. Heck, I don't even think it's going to bring in people to actually get free tickets to watch them in person, live in studio. It's going to backfire, it's going to be a waste of money, and it's going to be a waste of effort. Now, the fact that you have Joy and Sunny claiming that they were actually told by multiple coordinators on set in the studio that they could bring some of these prop pieces home when producers and executives of ABC told them flat out that that was false. It really goes to show you that Joy and Sonny were obviously lying when they were caught in the middle of bringing home these very expensive prop pieces. Now, this was best described as a very awkward situation for both the hosts of The View and ABC execs and producers, and comes in the midst of The View's ratings disaster that is now in a downward spiral at the Disney company. Now, consequences for both Joy and Sonny are already being discussed by Disney executives, including CEO Bob Iger, after they pulled their stunt by taking these expensive props off the set that are intended to be used right in the background of Whoopi, Joy, and Sonny starting in 2026. To be specific, Sonny had around 4 wine bottles that were said to be very expensive types of wine, with the View's logo printed on each bottle in the front and back. Now, Disney executives are also in talks of completely changing the table, the actual physical table for the program, by the beginning of 2026, as well to actually bring in a new design. Now, guys, let me say one thing about this. Now, this has happened with a lot of actors in the past, and even those in the media in the past. Not so much of a shocker there, but it really is quite a shocker to do this in the middle of a ratings disaster when Disney, when ABC is going through a lot of flack right now, and rightfully so, by the way, for valid reasons. I mean, this all comes well after, their Charlie Kirk-related comments, their Trump-related comments, and how they doubled down on that in recent months, and how it's already beginning to backfire, even from the long-time loyal supporters of The View that are now checking out and not tuning in on television. They are turning it off, they're switching to other programs. Even if it's other programs associated with ABC, they are actually abandoning ship when it comes to The View. So what's interesting here, though, has a lot more to do with the fact that not only is the Disney stock not doing so hot right now in November of 2025, but in isolation, the ratings for The View is a nightmare for Bob Iger. It's a nightmare for the many Disney board members over there, the board of directors handling the Disney company, and this is exactly why they are in deep talks to not only get rid of Sunny Hostin by 2027 completely, but to also bring in a complete new roundtable of hosts. That's another thing that's under discussion right now, and look, we all know that Bob Iger wants to leave. He wants to step down by 2026. You're going to get a new CEO on board, very likely next year, and things may very well change, either for better or worse. I think that, yes, it would be a very good scenario to get rid of The View, but who knows what's going to happen with a brand new CEO. It could very well be new hosts that'll be worse than Joy, Sonny, and Whoopi Goldberg for all we know. But overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about everything related to Joy and Sonny getting caught in this act, and it just goes to show you exactly how entitled they feel they are to actually take test footage prop pieces off the set and attempting to bring it home, essentially. But I would like to hear what you all have to say about the ratings disaster related to The View and more, and everything else related to Joy, Whoopi, and Sonny. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, and everything else related, by the way, to Bob Iger making all of these terrible decisions that are just pretty much, financial failures. Let me know what you guys have to say about that below in the comments, and I will catch you guys later.